Off top. You already know the answer because of technical difficulties. Stop smiling. I don't even want to ask you the question now because it's making you happy. And I don't like when you're happy, at least not today, because you're pissing me off today. You're really pissing me off. You're late. Your equipment doesn't work. Just play the music.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.
Welcome to the Domonique Foxworth Show. I'm Domonique Foxworth. Charlie has on a green light hat, and he's making me late. We had to start this over 3 times because he doesn't know how to make his computer work. And yes, Beatty Feathers was the first 1,000-yard rusher.
Oh, I was about to ask you if you knew who the first 1,000-yard rusher was.
Maybe he didn't even run for 1,000 yards. They believe it was all fabricated in order to increase marketing in 1933.
I missed you. First thing I got on our other link. Hand up, was I 15 minutes late? Yes, I'm accountable for that. Hand up, did I completely...
Hold on. You were 2 minutes late for the 15-minute pushback, to be clear.
Hand up, I was 17 minutes late. Hand up, I up the technology. Hand up, I might have also ruined that record had we been able to use it. So my bad. Accountability plays. I will say, the first thing I said to you, we got on the Zoom, I said, I missed you. I'm so happy to see you. It'd been too long.
And I said, I just saw you.
And you said, I don't care. Do better. Work harder.
I mean, we're not going to lie to each other. We're not going to start lying to each other. Yeah. I love you. You have enough
rule of the locker room.
You have enough goodwill that I don't want to fight you, but we're not going to pretend like you didn't up the beginning of the show, but we're going to have a much better show now. And you're going to insult me in the ways that you did before. And it's going to land a little flat because I already know what you're going to say. Trade deadline. It was fun.
I'm not going to insult you. I do want to talk about what happened at the trade deadline, though, because this is the NBA-ification of the NFL, not in the sense of regular season not mattering and the guys not trying and it being a degraded product because of our good friend Adam. The NFL is still the best. But what I am going to talk about the NBA is a team blew it up. And you have been an ardent anti-tanker person since the Dolphins put Brian Flores in a position to fail years ago, and that was one of your stump speeches on TV. The Jets are in a very different situation. No, I'm serious about this because I feel this is very different. Part of this with Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn was this is a vote of confidence that they're going to let these guys try and build this together. And what they did today, they've been a really bad team. It's been incredibly disappointing. Some people were talking about their first-year coach or GM losing their jobs after this year. And what they've done is they traded Sauce Gardner to the Colts for 2 first-round picks. They traded Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a first and a second. They've positioned themselves to have 2 first-round picks in a 2026 draft, which is interesting but not loaded with quarterback talent, and then a 2027 draft that we have Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, several top quarterback prospects who people like above these guys. And I know that this is antithetical to the way that a lot of teams and GMs have been football guys in the past. But for you, do you think the Jets kickstarted the rebuild the right way today?
I mean, I'm never going to agree with anything that looks like you're not trying to win. I also can't disagree with the idea that this at least seems like a wise strategic move. I think where in my grandstanding stump speech, as you called it, that was anti-tanking. Like, my feelings about tanking haven't changed in the slightest, but I think that I probably aim my frustration at the wrong people. And Brian Flores and that Dolphins team ended up making me look silly because they won much more games and was much more competitive than any of us thought that they would be. But I just fundamentally hate the idea of any incentive structure that incentivizes someone to suck. And I don't think that anyone who's, like, to your point, you're a basketball fan. Do you think basketball fans appreciate that there are several teams that don't even try? Like, they changed the rules because of the 76ers in the process. So I understand that if you're a fan of your team, you like when they do this because you believe it's going to help them in the future if your team has been really bad. I hate the idea that anyone should be incentivized to be. And also, we don't really have a track record of that working in the NFL. We don't really have, what we have more often is well-run organizations being consistently good and organizations being consistently bad. So I'm not sure that this is going to help, but everybody loves a bunch of picks.
And also, I don't think this is a straight tank. Like, they didn't come into this season being like, we're not going to be competitive. All the guys who got traded today, I feel for Breece Hall, who was nearly traded to the Chiefs. I feel for Jermaine Johnson and the tweets that they put up about how they're hurting for their brothers who are gone. I don't think they went into the season, and this is a definitive thing that's different from basketball, being like, we're not going to try. That's just not football culture of any of this stuff. This is just long-term roster management with an understanding of where this Jets organization is right now. And let me tell you something. I've come a long way on this, and credit to me for personal growth. I'm always growing and learning. But I had a taste of success last year in the NFL. Me and the fellas made it to the NFC Championship game, and seeing that ripped away from me, I never want to be bad again. I understand that's my lot in life, as I'm a loser as a Commanders fan, but knowing that one day you can have a well-run organization, you can do good things, I get it now. Don't tank. Don't be a joke. But I do think it's cool that Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn get to be a part of this rebuild, and they become some of the most fascinating characters because, I can't emphasize this enough. They were in a really tough spot where, I like Quinnen Williams a lot as a player. I think everyone does. He's incredibly slippery defensive tackle. He can do a lot of things, and Sauce has shown he can be an elite shutdown corner in this league. But those primes are going to be wasted on this Jets team just because of how far they were. So
I don't know that that's true. Yeah, like football teams can turn around much more quickly. Like I think a reasonable strategy for them would have been to stick with the players that they had and make a run at a retread quarterback or draft a quarterback high because they're going to still have a bad season and try to fill in the holes and try to be competitive in the next 5 years or so. Like I don't think that it was guaranteed that their careers were going to be wasted. So this wasn't their only choice. And I think the difference between the reason why it's the culture of football is one reason why tanking and just kind of blowing it up is unlikely. But another reason is, like, I think most organizations know that you can't save your team with one player. It tends not to be the case. You're going to have to inevitably build up around them. So, like, shedding good players is never really good strategy. But I do see what they're doing right now as a way that could work. And I guess maybe the Cowboys, that Herschel Walker trade is the one that we always go back to as like a launching pad trade. But roster management was a lot different back then because it was like pre-free agency. It just hit right at that time. So we'll see how this works. But I don't know if off the top of your head you can think of other teams that have like completely bottomed out and then turned that into some, like, intentionally traded away enough stuff and then turned it into some success. Like we thought the Dolphins were doing, it didn't really pan out.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because football is so difficult with injuries and guys being along that for a while. Like Suck for Luck, I think in theory worked, where they got the guy who immediately, but they had a lot of stuff built in place from the Peyton Manning era. I think an interesting comp to that as well would be, ironically, where Aaron Glenn came from, which was the beginning. I don't think it was intentional bottoming out, and I think that the culture is similar, but it was Aaron Glenn and Dan Campbell with the Lions when they lost their first 10 games. And that team was really rough. But it's just so different in the way that you set it up. Like, they're not building an organization going into each season trying to lose. And I also just think having chess pieces in a draft like 2027, which is still so far away, there's so many things that could change. I mean, I know you have seen that defensive end from South Carolina, the kid who's from Washington, D.C., who runs like
a 10-second 100 and is enormous. Yeah.
It's just these are guys who have been name brand college football players really early and have a really early age of dominating college football. And, like, I don't know, if you're the Jets, you're an organization that has been starved for a quarterback for so long. Having 3 picks in that draft, with the opportunity to maneuver, potentially get a quarterback, potentially get multiple impact players who can really change your franchise. You talk about how quickly things can change. I think long-term build, it's interesting. It's going to be something that we follow. Like, these are protagonists now in the off seasons for the next couple of years. I do want to ask you about the Colts side of this, though, because this has been one of the stories of the year. And last week, notwithstanding, this team has been incredibly consistent. They have obviously an offense that can score the rock and run the ball with Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones and those guys. This, to me, feels like a vote of confidence that they think that they're Super Bowl contenders. But adding Sauce Gardner, what does that do to the?
I think it gives them some flexibility. And I feel like the last episode we did, we talked a lot about how the ability to play man coverage seems to be a bit of a separator for defenses in the modern NFL. And it's not that you have to play exclusively man coverage, but like you have that ability to play man coverage. And having an ability to play man coverage, normally you're going to face a team, especially if you're going to the playoffs, teams are going to have high-end receivers. And so, yeah, maybe you can play man coverage against some, but you won't necessarily be able to trust all your cornerbacks in man coverage against every level receiver without doubling. And I think that is what Sauce Gardner means to them, is there's an ability to have the flexibility on defense to not automatically know that if we're playing, I don't know, the Bengals or a team like that, or I'm thinking of teams that are out of the play that probably aren't likely to be in a playoffs hunt. But if it's Rashee Rice or someone that you're going to have to play in the playoffs, or it's DK Metcalf, like those type of receivers that they might have to see in the playoffs. Sauce Gardner is a big athletic corner who's comfortable in zone. They've played a lot of zone in New York since he's been there, but also is comfortable in man coverage, isn't going to get physically dominated by any of those receivers. I named two of the bigger ones in the AFC. So I think that's honestly what it does for them more than anything, is it gives them the flexibility to blitz in situations when others don't.
Dude, this is the thing that I feel I've learned the most about since working with you, is like that how complementary coverage and pass rush units can be and how important that is. And like, obviously you're now, I accidentally unplugged my mic for a second, but I'm back. We're good. Sorry. I lost all the goodwill I had done. That one's on me. Hand up. But I've
got a real on me's right now.
I've learned so much about the pass rush and coverage combinations that the Colts can do, and because of this. And like, I'm sure, given the history of Lou Anarumo and Trey Hendrickson, that calls were made. I'm not reporting that, but I would be confident that they tried to get Trey Hendrickson at the deadline and the price was too steep, in addition to Sauce Gardner. But Latu has been awesome. I think that they can potentially have a lot of the things that we saw on Sunday afternoon in that Chiefs and Bills game. I feel like that's pretty illustrative of what the top end of the league is doing, that the Bills were able to dominate the line of scrimmage and play a lot of man coverage. And teams are probably looking at that being like, hell, we're going to have to beat the Chiefs. We're going to have to beat the Bills, potentially even the Ravens, who are definitely going to win the AFC North in the postseason. And we want to be able to play, a more honest brand of football. Man coverage, pressure the quarterback. It's sort of scheme. I mean, it's not scheme agnostic, but you know what I mean? It's more stable if you have the right guys.
There's no like weakness to man coverage, with the exception of it's really hard, I guess is the way that I would put it.
Personnel dependent.
Like so like in most zones, there's like a direct weakness that you just can't account for. But in man coverage, it's like, of course, they're going to run picks and rubs, but a man for a man is pretty straightforward. Like there's no weak spot in that zone. And if you can get pressure, it makes it a lot easier. So I think, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it does, the more talented players that you have on different levels, the more flexibility it gives you in the game plan. And so if you see there's something that you can exploit, like say you're going up against a great offensive line, and there aren't even like dominant receivers. You're going up against a great offensive line. So you're not going to get a ton of pressure, or it's a max pro team. You're just not going to get it. You need to be able to guard for a little bit longer. And that's because zone, if you have a limited crew of receivers, like they can be smart and tactical. If they're like physically limited, they can be smart and tactical to attack those zones. So I think that's all it means, is from week to week, game to game, they can approach the offenses that they see in a way that they think is best now, or in a way they have more ways to attack those offenses now than they did yesterday.
It's fascinating. Does it like, we're Colts guys, self-proclaimed Colts guys. Domonique, you were the first huge Colts.
I was the first Colt.
Yeah,
first Colt guy.
First Colt guy. You told Jeff Saturday to be high on this team. Does this change how you view the top of the AFC, their outlook for this season with them?
I mean, it improves. Like,
I'm not saying like they're going to win the Super Bowl. They're going to
right. Yeah,
it's just a trust
I think that's
factor.
what I mean. There's not a dramatic shift in how I feel about them. Like, I think they were a team that had a chance. I think they're a team that has a better chance now. But the questions about them still exist, because the question about them is one that they really can't answer. The major question is like, what is Daniel Jones going to be in the highest leverage situations? And
Yeah.
I'm willing to excuse him for the game last week a little bit, because that game felt to me like it was more about them getting dominated up front. It wasn't the same as like Daniel Jones turned into a pumpkin, to me, at least.
I agree. By the way, I don't remember if this was on the first record that we did that I messed up or the new one, but if anyone at ESPN is listening to our show,
yeah, that was the first record.
Please make an NFL trade machine so that I can lean into fake hypothetical trades and actually know if there's a chance the teams could do this. Please, us fans, we need this. If we're going to have more trades going into the deadline. And the crazy thing is, I think we wanted more trades than this, which is one of the funniest parts of this. Like we got some, it was great. Felt like a nice amuse-bouche of trades. We didn't see the sauce one coming, but I want more trades. Speaking of the next one, Quinnen Williams to the Cowboys for a first and second. Is this good Jerry making up for the Micah trade, or bad Jerry compounding the mistakes of the Micah Parsons trade and using some of that draft capital for a player that won't actually? He's an awesome player, but won't change their lot in life of what that defense is because of how flawed it is.
Yeah, but I mean, Quinnen Williams is a young, talented player. Like I think that adding him to your team is not a bad thing. I guess you could argue it'd be really hard to find that same value in the first or second round. There, he's already in his second deal, so that's like another issue with it impacting salaries going forward. But honestly, like I don't think that there's, short of Myles Garrett, like I'm not sure that there's a player that they could realistically acquire that would really change their fortunes. I think they're a lot further from championship contention than they led us to believe when they started the season scoring 40 points a week. So, acquiring good players is always good, especially good young players, which Quinnen Williams is, and he's a hardworking player that I think will be an asset for them because as long as they have Dak, I think they believe that they're in their championship window. If they are able to make some smart moves in the offseason, I think they could be competitive within the next 3 years. You think Dak has left of being like a prime quarterback?
I think Dak has been awesome. He's elevated his game this year to be one of the top players in the league. I know he's been like your favorite quarterback's favorite quarterback for a long time, and that like vein of Matthew Stafford of the guys who like watch the tape and see how he processes. But yeah, Quinnen Williams is 28 years old, so the window is not that long. And I think, whenever Overshown comes back, that's a really interesting one. I know that the tape people, I'd love to hear your opinion on him also, but like what he'll be after a second ACL tear from a player who was really speed dependent. Speaking of green light, like that's one of the players that Chris Long has talked about for a couple of years of being like, that dude has like crazy high end talent that if he's able to stay on the field, he could be awesome. So like the defense could look very different with an anchor in the middle and Overshown coming back. And obviously they still have issues in the secondary. I think that's fair to say. If I'm not being too harsh on them.
No.
But they're just pieces that might fall in place in a complementary way in that front seven if guys are healthy and performing at the same time.
Yeah, we see how quickly teams can turn around, and they have the hard thing, which is high-end quarterback. So I don't know. It's just hard to trust Jerry. Did you see the quote or the comments that he made?
Oh, yeah. It was amazing.
Talking about how he tries to stir up.
Dude,
it's like
he's provocative. He gets the people going.
Yeah. I guess we always knew this, but saying it out loud for him to say it out loud is like particularly weird because it seems like he's like being honest about the idea that he prioritizes being an entertainment property more than being a competitive football team, while this team has been, they've been pretty competitive.
I thought one of the funniest things about that entire thing was him. He got so excited to say a trade was consummated. It was like old Jerry with his wry smile. And then also, he loved being like, let's leak the Logan Wilson trade first.
Yeah.
Like people are I'll get a second news cycle of people being like, look at all wily Jerry. All he did was get Logan Wilson.
Yeah. He got us on Get Up this morning. We were definitely like, this was what you were teasing us?
You ate the trash. You didn't see the betting odds? Yeah. It was last night. There was like all of the betting odds released that like, it was minus odds that Quinnen Williams was going to be on the Cowboys today. And I was like,
I don't gamble.
Why did I don't know? I just thought, I thought maybe, one of the Get Up person people would drop that.
Make it clear, FBI. We're we don't gamble over here.
No. No, we are not. Nope. There's no X-ray glasses.
Or card counting machines. None of that nonsense.
We were actually we were in Vegas together for Super Bowl. I don't think either one of us went to a single blackjack table, played around the craps, any of it.
I lost money. When I first got in the league, I was in Denver, so we were close to Vegas, and we would go, pretty regularly. And so I've gone there and lost a couple $1,000s a couple of times, and then it didn't take me long to figure out that they started comping stuff. I was like,
oh yeah.
They was being too nice to me. At first I was like, oh, this is cool. It's because I play in the NFL. They just want me around. And then I was like, no. they have made so much money off me. They feel bad and they want me to be happy and come back and give them some more.
That's exactly right. They looked at you and said, that's a mark.
Yeah, but I learned quickly. Before I had enough money for them to take a lot, I learned. And then we went back for the draft, and I did, like you mentioned, no gambling, but I did spend some money for a table at the club. Much better money spent. Got to see a front row at Lil Baby concert. It was fun.
That's team bonding. You got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to do that for the team. Yeah. You got to make some memories.
Caught the vid out there. I've been vid-free at home.
I forgot about
My whole
that.
family got the vid, and I couldn't catch it at home. Then I had to go to Vegas for work. I guess I didn't have to go to the club to Dre's for work, but they got a different strain out there. It got me. I couldn't handle that red state COVID. That jumped on my.
That's different gravy. Like mid 2021 Vegas COVID. That's like.
Oh.
I don't even know. It's like as a prospect, the Andrew Luck of COVIDs.
Well, the Raiders, since we're in Vegas, they didn't do any trading.
Yeah. Are you surprised they didn't trade Crosby?
Yeah, a little bit.
Was there?
But he made it clear that he didn't want to leave. But I guess no. The whole Pete Carroll of it and the Geno Smith of it.
And by the way, we should I messed. They did trade Jacoby Myers to the to the Jaguars. They did make a trade.
So yeah, I guess it's clear that they aren't, or not clear, but they took the opportunity. They're out this year. They took the opportunity to try to plan for the future, I guess, the very, very long future that they have with an older quarterback and an older coach. But anyway, we don't need to waste any time talking about the Raiders. I don't think people care that much about that trade.
Did any other trades stand out to you? The Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks, they're a really good team. The Ravens got Draymond Jones. Anything pop from there?
The Shaheed trade is a little surprising. The Seahawks already have a ton of money tied up in receivers, but I guess it doesn't matter if they don't have the production or the versatility that they want. Cooper Kupp is an older guy, and it's not as explosive as Shaheed in the way that Sam Darnold is playing. I guess keep giving him weapons, and you'd be happy he'll be able to make use of them, especially when he's going up against the Commanders. But I don't.
That's mean.
The Jets were the most interesting actors, and I think from the day of trades, to me at least.
Yeah, I agree with that. Shaheed, I think Draymond Jones, more physicality on the Ravens defense is obviously something that, it's going to be a team priority going down the stretch. But the Shaheed one, I think is fun. Obviously, JSN's emerged has been the best receiver in the NFL this season. Torrey Horton, who was playing in the Cooper Kupp role, was awesome against the Commanders, and he's someone who they were excited about in camp and coming out of the draft. And Shaheed's a burner. This is it's a different type of guy that has legit track speed on the outside. That's just opens up different parts. You're a big explosives guy, and obviously hasn't been the same for him since the 2023 season when he caught all of those long touchdowns. And there's regression there, but it's nice to have that guy for what they gave up. And that Seahawks team's really good. Them and the Rams are up there for. I don't know if it's you, Rams, Seahawks, I guess Eagles, based on pedigree of the NFC teams that you just trust the most going into the back end of the season.
Absolutely. I think those teams are. I feel like you can't shortchange the Lions, even though they've had some surprisingly bad. Not bad, but lost some games that you think they should have won and not been competitive. I think you can explain some of that away with, O-line injuries and offensive coordinator woes, I guess, turnover. Hopefully by the end of the season, they're better at play calling and prioritizing their playmakers, but I'm not out on them yet. And I know you're out on the Packers, right?
Theoretically they're still great. But no, the Lions stuff, I have concerns about the secondary, particularly if they play like a Rams or a Seahawks team in the postseason, just from a game script perspective. And, that can all change with health. The Legion of Whom might get some names back, but that is that's a pressure point that I think is worth watching with this Lions defense that seems to be consistently beat up. Do you want to talk Kyler?
Yeah, I've been itching to talk Kyler. I tried to force a more in-depth conversation on Get Up, but nobody was having it. But I know you will.
Definitely. So the news, it's been like a whirlwind of 24 hours on Kyler stuff. We're taping this on Tuesday evening after the Cardinals offense, I guess, looked competent against a Cowboys defense that seems to make everyone look competent except for the Commanders. Jacoby Brissett has Marvin Harrison Jr., who's someone they invested a lot of draft capital in, looking closer to the player they drafted. With that said, Kyler was a quote unquote available scratch in that Monday Night Football game, but Jonathan Gannon initially said that he would be the starter moving forward. He's now said that even if Kyler was healthy, he was going to make the decision that Jacoby Brissett was a starter. And this is coming off of Schefter reporting that Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, I'm going to read this tweet exactly from Schefter. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals have consulted with multiple doctors on his foot injury and have been told the timetables for recovery are anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, with an increased chance of setback until it's properly healed. Murray now has more time to heal. Who do you think the Cardinals should be playing a quarterback moving forward? I'm just assuming that, not obviously Kyler with an injured foot, but assuming Kyler can be a starting quarterback and is healthy enough to play.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you and probably most people who follow this recognize or have been told that this team is offensively, statistically at least, better with Jacoby Brissett. So I think the reflex is to go with who the best player is, and it feels like, I don't know, it feels like the wrong thing to do to just go with the high draft pick who you paid a bunch if the offense isn't as productive with him. But I still think that I would say go with Kyler Murray because the ceiling potentially is higher, which, again, well, I don't know. I shouldn't 8 Mile this conversation because I know that I open myself up to some real serious criticism about saying that the ceiling is higher for a player who's not in his first contract. Like he's been around the league. We kind of know who he is.
I thought you were going to say you're a bad height joke, which I wasn't going to make.
Oh yeah. Good for you. Don't make.
I definitely
low hang.
I did not. I mean, he could pick it.
Okay, I respect that one. That was a good one. I'm proud of you. You bounced back from a rocky start.
It's like
that quality joke.
Thank you.
It's a thinking man's joke. It's not a laugh joke though. It's hey, that was funny.
Many people have called me the thinking man's podcast comedian. Many people.
No one.
A lot of people are saying it. But no, can you explain that though? Why? So the pushback before you get there. Matt Harmon put out a video about what opens up in the Cardinals offense with Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback. Because he plays under center more, he can attack the middle of the field more. There are actual limitations in the center of the field because of Kyler Murray's height. At least that's what's perceived by people who are watching the All-22 specifically for the Cardinals. And the increased ceiling in the offense, if you're going to say you're a Jacoby Brissett guy, is more on-time things that highlight Marvin Harrison. Whoa, Trey McBride has played slightly better. My camera just zoomed in for this point. Everything's a disaster. I'm going to open up the OBS app, but I'm
having a bad game today, man. You are having a stinker.
I'm tossing it back to you. Based on those points from my big face that's in the middle of the camera, why do you think the ceiling's higher with Kyler Murray?
Oh, you're stuttering and stammering. Are you sweating? You are having a stinker.
I am sweating.
We're going to bench you for Jacoby Brissett like those commercials or for backups. I need a backup co-host, and we're going to bring him in. What is Tommy DeVito doing right now?
I hate how happy this makes you. Actually, am I a good co-host because I've been this bad? Am I so bad it's good?
Don't try to pivot it. Just sit in it. Sit in your shame and sweat. Anyway, yeah. So the high ceiling for Kyler Murray is, I mean, he's a first round or number 1 overall pick, incredibly explosive athlete. So I guess my argument would be that you know what you get with Jacoby Brissett, and I guess you could say that you know what you would get with Kyler Murray also. But I think there are some criticism of Kyler Murray that he can't do anything about. So, like, if the height is an issue, the height is the reason why he only has to play on shotgun and he can and he doesn't tack the middle of the field, then those are some real limitations that have been clear to you for a while, and you probably should have thought twice about extending them if that's what you wanted to do. But the other criticism of Kyler has been about his like mentality, frankly. It's like how he approaches the game. And I think that it's possible that having Jacoby Brissett go out there and demonstrate some things could be an eye-opening experience for Kyler and make him more willing to do some of the things that you think that he needs help doing. I guess my only, ultimately, you owe it. I mean, owe it is the wrong word, but I think it's responsible to give Kyler 3-4 more games before you completely give up on him. Because Jacoby Brissett is not your long-term answer. Like, if you enter next season as Jacoby Brissett as your starter, like, I think Jacoby Brissett would also be surprised. Like, I was making jokes about the backup quarterback. Like, Jacoby has passed whatever point in his career that he had aspirations to be a starter. Like, he was doing insurance commercials where he is known as a backup quarterback. So, like, I think putting Jacoby in there, it doesn't elevate your offense to the level where you're going to be a contender this year, I don't think.
How does that change for quarterbacks though? Like, Kyler's in his 7th season. Like, at some point, and I'm not opposed to this. I don't think you need to give up on him. This season is what it is. Like, he's going to probably get back in there at some point. But how do you at this point learn to play on time more? How does that change with a quarterback play on schedule? Because like that's the criticism. Like, obviously he's an elite athlete. His arm talent, not just like so much just talked about his legs, but from the baseball background, like he can throw from every different angle. He has touch, he has power. Like he's got incredible tools, but the issue is playing within structure and playing on time and sitting down and watching Jacoby do that. Is that something that just clicks when you see like, oh, if you play on time, you get the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. or Trey McBride in these spots. This is a value add to you as a quarterback.
I don't know. That's the thing is, I don't know. I think that we don't know what will happen. I think it's probably more likely that he's going to be who he's been for the 7 years that he's been in the league. But I think there is a chance, and I open myself up to you making fun of me with my made up percentages and probabilities. But like, I think if there's a 10 to 15% chance that he can address, because the things that we want him to address are, and this is the trap that happens with a lot of great quarterbacks. It's like, I think the Jeff George trap. If you're as old as me, you understand what I'm saying, where everyone gave Jeff George a chance because the things that he could do were so impressive and so hard to find.
Jeff George's arm strength was like erectile dysfunction medicine for GMs of the 1990s. You just put on some tape of Jeff George and like
they would get excited.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think that. No, I'm not making fun of you for that. I mean, I had to get that joke off before I got back to the real analysis. But I'm not like that. It would be a fool's errand for me to write that off as a possibility. And I think the 10% thing is whatever. Like, we just have seen Mac Jones look competent after what he did in New England. We've seen Baker Mayfield be an MVP candidate with, I guess currently an MVP candidate with a really injured team in the Bucs. And he's gone past just being a situational guy. We've seen Daniel Jones doing it. We're just talking about Sam Darnold leading one of the most explosive offenses in the league. Talent wise, if you're depending on how you define talent, like I know size is a physical part of it, but like arm strength, legs, like
I mean, I think that the point is those are the things that you can't. Yeah. But I mean, those are the things that you can't coach. And he has those things. And I think it's reasonable for a lot of coaches to believe that you can get him to fix those other problems. And so there's no reason to rush him out the door. I don't think that you're going to get some great trade offers for him, or they didn't. That's over. That deadline is over. Now he's there. If that was even something that they were going to entertain.
Sando said his contract. Mike Sando from The Athletic basically said his contract was untradeable.
Right. I saw that also. But I think the responsible thing to do is to try one more time. And I know that this is not the coaching staff or front office that acquired him. So they probably would like a chance with their own guy. So I think it's probably, even if you want to move on from him, like, I think it's probably smart to put him back out there, have him play well or not, and then make your decision at the end of the year if you want to trade him for nothing or release him or whatever you want to do. But it doesn't make sense to me to stick with Jacoby because it's not like a hot hand, like they're just balling out of control. The only other consideration that's worth making is like, and this goes back to where we started all of this with why tanking sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't about tanking specifically, but part of the reason why tanking sucks is because the players that you have on your roster that are good and you want to keep, football is so interdependent. You need quality around you to get better.
This is a take that I know Ben Solak's written about, where the quarterback playing at a certain level is so important for the development of your players, your roster around you, from your offensive line to your receivers to, all of that stuff. And that is a legitimate thing. Like, people have talked about Jacoby Brissett. Yeah, you're going to laugh at this. Future NFL head coach. They've been saying that about Jacoby Brissett for a long time. And just seeing the comfort. Yeah. He's like, I feel like he's one of the guys who people like, he's a lock to be a coach at one point. And I do think that probably matters for the development of a Marvin Harrison and guys like that. I have to ask you, how old do you think Jacoby Brissett is?
He looks a lot older than he probably is, huh? I'd say, if I'm being honest and I'm not trying to steal or ruin your game, I'd say 33.
32.
Oh, nailed it.
That's hilarious. So he's only 4 years older than Kyler Murray, which is crazy. He seems a decade and a half older than him.
I mean, football is, I don't know how I got that close to it, but I guess he does. He's been around for a long time, and he does have an old man face a little bit.
Yeah. But I do want to mention one thing that we've sort of skirted around. I know you mentioned it briefly, is like the immaturity, the video games, the memes about Call of Duty, them writing that in that he has to watch film in his contract. I'm of two minds about this. I don't think it's all fake. I don't think everyone's making up that Kyler has at times maybe been difficult for coaching staffs or has been difficult for stuff. And he's obviously is the best high school quarterback in the history of the state of Texas. He was a first round pick in baseball and the first overall pick in football. He won the Heisman Trophy. I'm assuming there's some bravado that goes along with that. But I was thinking about this in terms of Baker Mayfield, who's someone he was really close to me out of the league. There's the photo of him playing scout team defensive end for the Panthers. And he's talked about this year. People are like, oh, Baker Mayfield, he matured. And he's like, that I didn't mature. I'm just playing better now. I'm in a situation where I get to be myself. And like, part of me, I know you feel that some of this stuff is just eyewash. It's just BS on the perimeter about this, where if Kyler finds the right situation, the right like personality fit too, the right coaching staff fit, I feel like all of that fades away. And some of the stuff that we've been lambasting him for, myself included, will just be like gone if he's in a situation where he's comfortable and playing well.
If he's in a situation that's comfortable and playing well, then I mean, you know, my response is going to be this to most of those type of stories, but the stuff that annoys us becomes like a quirky thing that we like about them if they play well, right? And that's like Baker put words to that, and I felt that way for over a decade now, where it's like, Marshawn Lynch is a great example. And when Marshawn Lynch is playing well, we think all the Skittles and stuff is great. And I don't want to talk and the like refusal to like code switch it anyway. Yeah, like we love all of that stuff. But when things are not going well, we change our mind. And I think the same thing, like if Kyler Murray was balling and playing video games, then it would be the cutest, most fun thing about him. And so I think that the tougher question to answer is, are these examples of like inflexibility or even maybe football immaturity? Are there things that are going to hold him back, or are those things places where he is going to grow and change and evolve? So like one, I don't know if there are things that are going to actually hold him back. Like I think you can do all those things and still be good at football. And two, he has this size thing that I think is a legitimate concern, that there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah.
We don't have, I guess, who's the example that we have of someone. Doesn't mean it can't be done. Maybe you'll find a different way to do it, but we don't have a bunch of examples of guys, or very many examples, because we like point to short quarterbacks, but those guys are like 6 foot.
Drew Brees,
5'10".
Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Fran Tarkenton. Fran Tarkenton is probably the closest style fit, but that's like, it's a totally different era of football. And Drew Brees and Russell Wilson had the crazy high release and were like savants about the things that they were incredible at. Like Drew Brees, obviously with the accuracy, Russell Wilson with pocket manipulation, footwork, and the deep ball. And those are just completely unique skill sets that, transcended size.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course it's possible. I guess the thing that's challenging about him is he is so unique. It's like, he's not Joe Flacco in that, Joe Flacco, you could just drop him in an offense. He's like such what?
No, I'm just laughing about the fact that we picked like the two most antithetical physical specimens.
Right.
It's like Lurch with like a little toddler running around and with like a Mario star.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only point I'm making is Joe Flacco is such a prototypical historical quarterback. It's like, hey, we need somebody, throw him in there. He can do quarterback things. Kyler is such a unique player that it's like high risk, high reward. If it would have worked with Kyler, it would have been incredible. And I think there are lots of teams who could still look at him and say, I can make it work. It's going to be incredible.
Is there a team that you'd want him to go to? A scheme or a coach you'd want to be paired with?
I don't know. I mean, any good one. Like, I don't know that there's a scheme, but I think any good coach, I guess I don't want to be disrespectful to say that these other coaches aren't good, but there are a different level of creativity that some coaches have. And I mean, but the problem is a lot of those coaches, we already kind of like and respect them because they've had some success. I don't know where of those. So like, of course, Andy Reid, we've seen Andy Reid change up his offense a bunch of different times, all the way back to many times in Philly
I don't think Andy Reid's coaching any quarterback other than Patrick Mahomes until he retires.
That's the exact point. I don't know who else is out there that would be in, like Sean McVay, or I guess KOC is like, these guys are guys that are willing to bend their system in a way to fit the player that they have, but they've already got players that they want.
And by the way, whenever Stafford does decide to hang it up, seeing who McVay wants to be the next steward of his system is going to be really interesting, because it feels like a while since McVay has feigned retirement, and I'd be really interested to see if who he would have as his next hand-selected guy, because Stafford was a plan in the making. It's really interesting. One of the other things that Matt Harmon brought up, which I thought was interesting, is, I know it's a point that like might sound really stupid. I think there's a baseline of athleticism you need now to play quarterback in the NFL. There are obviously exceptions to that, but have we over-indexed like elite athleticism at the position, thinking that there's immense value in or placing too much value in someone who's a top 1% twitchy athlete in Kyler Murray, or this is a far bigger extreme of it, but someone like Anthony Richardson, whose athleticism carried the case of him being a high draft pick. And that it's still a lot of the things that we thought about as we joked about what old quarterbacks were, but it's processing, it's beating teams in the pocket, it's beating teams within structure and system.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like over-index for it makes it feel more negative than I think it should be. I think that there was a bit of an overcorrection. And I think that as we started moving in the direction of going from, all right, quarterbacks who run are bad, which of course there are racial implications, racial undertones in this conversation, and I don't mean we as in you and me.
No, totally. We as in the former NFL GMs.
Yeah. Quarterbacks who run are bad, to like, oh, it's cool if you can do a little bit. Like, give us a little John Elway, a little Steve Young. Like, that's cool, but we don't want you to do too much, to getting to where we are now, where it's like, it's a prerequisite. There aren't quarterbacks. And I think that as we were moving in the decision making, we witnessed, and of course, I think Lamar and Josh are going to be like the examples that have changed the league in so many ways. And I think that coaches were like, oh, all right, if that works, now we have to try this. Coaches and GM, we have to try this. And I think they're learning that, oh, that's maybe we've gone a little far. And defenses have gotten smaller and gotten more experience at dealing with some of these design quarterback runs and have made it more difficult. So I think that when that happens, it's kind of a evolution and reaction process where then it's like, all right, we're going to take that away, and you're going to be more focused on being able to do the things that traditional quarterbacks do. And so we're never going to give up the athleticism. You're right.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be able to run for a 3rd and 5. You got to be able to physically get there. Like it's rare. There's only a couple relics left, but we're not drafting guys anymore that can't convert a 3rd and 5 if they're in man coverage in the defensive end run pass you. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, I've just looked at some of the young quarterbacks and the way they succeeded. You talked about the loud play of J.J. McCarthy on the 9-yard touchdown run. Caleb, obviously, on that last drive. Last week, we saw him scramble to convert a 3rd down after he looked lost on 2 plays and then set up the crazy athletic throw to Loveland. You see Bo Nix has his scrambles and his throws in the run have won them games at the end. Like, it just feels like that we're not seeing the dinosaur. We're not seeing more of the Joe Flacco's. But it is interesting.
That, we also aren't going like, I think the Lamar thing, I talk a lot about how Josh Allen got a lot of super athletes drafted. But I think the Lamar was it also, but Lamar always had, we talked about this before. He ran an NFL pro style offense in college. He's always been a comfortable passer, even though when he got to the Ravens, they ran like some very run heavy, old school stuff. He still always had the level of comfort to be a pocket.
It's also like the Lamar thing. The Lamar and Josh thing, it's so funny. You talk about new prototypes. There just aren't many of them. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, yeah, you can find more 6'5", 260-pound guys who are built like defensive ends who are super bendy and can run and can play quarterback. Or Lamar is he's 6'3", 215 and runs a 4.28 or whatever. He's just like, those guys don't exist. They're like 4 of those guys, period, in the NFL. And like, then you have to find one who's a quarter. Like, it gets a new prototype, but like, it's still like,
I mean, it's aspirational. Yeah. I think it's getting people in trouble because they're like, we can find our own.
We can fix them. We can fix them up.
Yeah. And I think Josh Allen is the example that I always point to because he was fixed.
Yeah. And that's obviously led to Richardson, led to Trey Lance. Right. I think it'll be really interesting in the next couple drafts to see what happens with, some of the more highly touted quarterback prospects who have unique physical skills. Like Lagway is a really unique physical prospect. So is Lenore Sellers, and there will be more and more. I mean, Nico Iamaleava, who I don't think is going to end up being a high first round pick now, but he's in that same thing too of like 6'6", fast, huge arm. I can fix him. Who knows?
Yeah. And I think also there's been a Mahomes effect.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's why Caleb went so high, is we went from
playmakers,
discouraging those type of creative guys. And I think that's Kyler falls in that category also.
Kyler, Baker, Stafford winning the Super Bowl. Obviously, Stafford was before that winning the Super Bowl, but it's just more in vogue of like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we went from, it's a lot like the running thing. We went from discouraging it to like accepting it to starting to look for it and making you the best prospect in this year's draft because you had some Mahomesian traits.
I think
what you don't realize is I think that what makes Mahomes special is what, I mean, is that
the brain.
He has all the traditional quarterback stuff and then this on top.
He's got like the world's, he's like the best decision maker, game manager. Game manager positive. He literally manages. By the way, I want to give credit to this person because I often roast him, but I do think part of the Mahomes prototype that changed all of this too was Aaron Rodgers. Like he's like, fair. I think the way he was able to manipulate his arm with touch, power, play on the run, manipulate the pocket. Like I think that was a huge part of what we're looking for in quarterbacks, which is again easy to say. He's like, it's him and Dan Marino for like the greatest releases ever. Like, we're going to find more guys exactly like that. But it is funny when you talk about that. You talk about all these aspirational skill sets being what then molds scouting. And it's like, these things are incredibly rare and not all that repeatable. But yeah, I mean, the Kyler stuff's interesting. Like, I actually think if you could, the team that I have a team, and it's the Browns. I would actually be interested in seeing him on the Browns. That defense is so good. It's not that bad of a situation. The draft they had was awesome. Stefanski has had success with putting QBs in like out of the pocket, booting them out. They're going to have a running game. If they continue to draft well, I think that'd be an interesting risk. I think a huge part of it will come back down to the fact of like how much of if he's done with the Cardinals after this year. I'm not saying definitely, to your point, like he'd come back and play. How much of the contract that the Cardinals would be willing to eat to get that type of thing done, and how that would shape the deal of draft capital they get back, et cetera, et cetera. But like, to me, that's an interesting fit because that's a team that's going to be gun shy after the disaster of trading for Deshaun Watson. But, you know, you talk about being stewards for competitive football. Like if you put Kyler Murray on a team like that has a lot of the pieces, that has this defense scheme and a positive game script, like that's an eye raise of like, oh, maybe this is a situation that could really work for him.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like Cleveland, like, yeah, could get the out.
No. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I also think that the allure of drafting a quarterback is especially, well, they're not going to be that high, but I don't know. We'll see. I think Kyler Murray has a future, maybe.
Yeah, but you have Garrett right now, who's like,
yeah,
he's playing.
Yeah. So getting a rookie might be tough.
So much of that stuff is working around that defense, where it's like if you were to be able to get competent quarterback play, that's one. You talk about things changing fast in the NFL. Competent quarterback play that could change real fast.
Yep. All right. So you got your money on the Browns. Go for it. All right. Competent quarterback play is tough. So is competent podcast hosting. So tough. You had all the traits. You had a bomb of a game. You bounced back. You finished strong, though.
I play through adversity, and I'm here for my teammates no matter what.
You create the adversity and then play through it. I appreciate you. All the great producers. Domonique Foxworth is my name. Oh, this is not a sponsored show, so I don't have to say the Domonique Foxworth Show is presented by. I can just say bye. That was my first mistake of the show.
This is the Domonique Foxworth Show.